हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे
Mai ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulsi Maharani ki. Daar kom ik weer aan de. All glory to awesome devotees. All glory to awesome devotees. All glory to awesome devotees. All glory to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narochaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutiraye Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhaktir Bhagavatam Ashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Joy. Hare Krishna Prabhus. Today we'll be reading from the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, text number 76. Verse up there, I guess. Rajan samsmritya samsmritya samvadam imam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhuh Rajan samsmritya samsmritya samvadam imam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhuh Rajan samsmritya samsmritya samvadam imam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhuh. Prabhus. Jan samsmritya samsmritya dam idam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhuh. Rajan samsmritya samsmritya samsadam idam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhuh. Rajan samsmritya samsmritya samvadam imam adbhutam keshavarjuna yo punyam hrishyami cha muhur muhuh. Mataji's? Nope. Let's go. Word for word translation. Rajan, O king, samsmritya, remembering, samsmritya, remembering, samvadam, message, imam, this, adbhutam, wonderful, Keshava, of Lord Krishna, Arjunoch, Arjayoch, and Arjuna, Punyam, pious, Hrishyami, I'm taking pleasure, Cha, also, Muhuh, Muhuh, repeatedly. Translation purported by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. Purport. The understanding of the Bhagavad Gita is so transcendental that anyone who becomes conversant with the topics of Arjuna and Krishna becomes righteous and cannot forget such talks. This is the transcendental position of spiritual life. In other words, One who hears the Bhagavad Gita from the right source, directly from Krishna, attains full Krishna consciousness. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened, and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. Jai. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Sabdantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sagana Raghunatam Litam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopish Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for coming this evening. It's a wonderful evening outside. It's quite sunny. You could have been anywhere else, but you came here for my humble class. Thank you so much. Before we begin, can someone change the settings? I think you need to change the settings, yeah? You can do it, yeah? All right, let's try. Doo-doo. Yeah? Let's see if it works. Ta-da. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Let's go. All right, check. Jai. So let's begin with the most important, the purport itself. I think actually this purport is really fascinating because it's very small, but it's super concise. It has basically the whole Krishna consciousness inside the purport. It's actually quite outstanding. I broke it down to 3 main pieces. Let me just underline them a little bit. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, all good? Let's go. So the first, I think the most important part, I would say, is actually just by hearing the topics, it's a bit loud, just by hearing the topics of Krishna and Arjuna, the discussion, one becomes righteous and cannot forget such talks. Becomes righteous and he cannot forget such talks. I think it's actually quite outstanding, very profound. So that's the first part. Second part is that it's important to actually hear the Gita from the right source, from Krishna himself. Yeah? And then the third part, which is even probably the coolest part, I would say, is actually when one gets full Krishna consciousness, he becomes increasingly enlightened and he enjoys life with a thrill. I like how Prabhupada puts the word thrill. Not like happiness, not like easygoing, but thrill. And we'll go deeper into it afterwards. All right? So I put the whole kind of verse into a quick slide. So basically, again, if you hear the Lord, the message from the Lord, from the right source, from Krishna, then you can remember him all the time. One becomes righteous. He cannot forget Krishna. That's the guy over there. And then his life becomes increasingly thrilled. That smiley face over there. All right, so let's begin with the first part. He becomes righteous and cannot forget such talks. I remember a story, actually one of my teachers in Gurukul was sharing. We had the Bhakti class, and he was saying that, not my generation, but maybe 2-3 generations before that, there was a boy who came in Gurukul, I think when he was maybe 7 or 8, and he left around when he was 18. And Gurukul training is quite intense. He waking up 2 a.m. in the morning, having finished your rounds before Mangalarati, doing your puja and everything else. So like by the time he turned 18, he just was so fried with spirituality. He was like, that's it. I had enough of spirituality for the rest of my life. I want to quit this. Like, that's it. He turned 18. He just wanted to enjoy life. That was his goal. I just want to go and enjoy life. But the issue is that he didn't have much cash. So what he decided to do is to go and work in a cargo ship. And for those guys that know cargo ships, I actually have an uncle working in a cargo ship. They go out for like 5 to 8 months of the year on the sea. And basically anything that you think bad happens over there. Because their life is so miserable, they have to kind of balance it out with some kind of happiness. So like, you name it, drinking, drugs, everything is there. So he went there. And after a year, when he turned 19, he came back to speak to the teachers. And then so the teacher asked him, like, okay, how was your experience? And then the boy was like, what did you guys do to me? Like, I just cannot live a life. Every time I'm about to drink, I imagine like how Yamadutas will be pouring hot iron into me. Like every time I want to have any illicit activity, I imagine how I'll be forced to kind of embrace an iron woman or something like that. It's like as soon as I try to do something different, I just have nightmares coming to me. Do you get it? So basically, kind of, he couldn't live outside the environment. As soon as he kind of understood what's going to happen, as soon as you understand what's going to happen to you after, if you do anything sinful, then there's almost no way you can actually do it in the same way. Like it just transforms your consciousness, that you're not able to be a normal person anymore. That's where Prabhupada actually mentions it. He cannot forget such talks. There's no way he can forget it. So that's one point. Another actually interesting analogy I heard about this is Krishna consciousness is like mafia. Because as soon as you know too much, you can't leave. That's it, kind of. You just know too much. Like as soon as you get inside, you learn about things, and as soon as you know things, you can't leave anymore. That's it. That's how it works. Anyway, besides the point, going to the second part. Second part of the discussion was hearing from the right source. We obviously know, and actually hearing directly from Krishna, as how Prabhupada puts it. Directly from Krishna. Obviously, we can't hear directly from Krishna, but we have the parampara, which connects us directly from Krishna all the way down by the spiritual masters. But then I had a question. Why would you actually need a spiritual master? If you have the books, if you have the whole parampara, do you actually have to join the whole parampara? Do you actually have to take vows, take surrender of a spiritual master, and so on? And then I heard an interesting story. Let me kind of put it together. Actually, not a story, it's actually a fact. Let's put it like this. Anyone knows what happens when you die? Anyone knows? What happens when you die? Yep. Exactly. So that's the pain, and then whatever you think of at that moment, that's who you become. That's one part. They say that's the test, that's the real test. So then, if you're pious, you either go to heaven. If you're sinful, even those come, they kind of grab you with the dogs and everybody and drag you to hell. But actually, even if you're a devotee, the Vishnu does come, but they also take you for a journey. They don't go straight away. You also have a journey. So when they take you, you sit down on the swan and everything. Oh, it depends what's your imagination. But you sit down, and then they take you all around the universe. Starting from the hellish planets, they just basically take you for a tour. Kind of, you can go around, see what's happening in hellish planets, what's happening in other planets, and then you go to heavenly planets. And then when you get to heavenly planets, they ask you, do you want to stop by? Do you want to come and see what's over there? And then you can enjoy whatever you want. And then you have basically the 7 heavens. You go through all 7 heavens. Then you go to the Brahmaloka. You go see if you want to enjoy there. And then the final step, before you actually go to Vaikuntha, is Mahini Murti. They actually ask you, like, do you just want to come and just chill out with her? And for those who don't know who Mahini Murti is basically Krishna personified as a woman. It is beauty personified. Even Lord Shiva, like the purest person in the universe, couldn't stand, like, I guess, her beauty. He was so attracted by her. And then, like, yes, I think we have no hope. To be honest, like, if you think about it, if we are suffering without desires right now, imagine over there when you have, like, the most, like, epitome of, you can say, enjoyment. How can you say no? But then, actually, your spiritual master, during this whole journey, he is next to you. He's always flying next to you, like with the wings. And then, whenever you look to the wrong side, you just smack, bang, bang. Don't look there, bang. So only by your spiritual master's mercy can you actually go through all those tests and come out without kind of being disturbed by all the tricks of Maya. So yeah, that's why it's so important that you take initiation in the Parampara line and not just take teachings, but actually take guidance from your spiritual master. When a spiritual master accepts a disciple, he actually takes a promise that I won't go back to Godhead unless this disciple comes with me. So life in and life out, he has to come in constantly and make sure the disciple comes back if he is not purified enough. So then next time you want to become a guru, think about it twice. All right, so we discussed the first 2 points, and now we'll discuss actually the more interesting points, the happiness part, the living life with the thrill. Again, I like how Prabhupada used the word thrill because it's not living a happy life, it's not about living an easy life. It's about living a life that's enjoyable and with a thrill. They say a life is like a roller coaster. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And you also have problems, you also have good things, you also have bad things. And it's actually a roller coaster is actually a very nice example. Because when you're on a roller coaster, you actually can enjoy it, and you can be very fearful of it. And what determines your level of fearfulness or enjoyment is the level of faith you have in the developer, in the designer of the roller coaster. Because if your faith is very strong, you will just enjoy the whole ride because you know you won't fall down. But if you're still not sure about how this thing was developed and the, you can say, credibility of the designer, you'll constantly be unhappy or constantly be kind of fearful. And that's why if you actually understand and actually appreciate and have faith in Krishna, then you'll actually live. Even though going through different ups and downs, like Pandavas, they had one of the most horrible lives. Like, if you think about it, comparing our problems to their problems, we got no problems. So yeah, it's insane. But because they had faith in Krishna, they actually were able to live a life joyfully and with a thrill, looking at problems as a joke. Then there's another thing I was thinking about. Even though a lot of devotees are in the movement, and even though they're practicing for many years, some are still not very happy. Some are sad, but some are very happy. And I was actually kind of trying to contemplate. It's maybe not be in Shastra, but I was trying to actually kind of analyze for myself and figure out why some devotees are very joyful in Krishna consciousness and some are not very joyful in Krishna consciousness. Obviously, we have the level of faith, as we discussed earlier, which is important, but I guess you can't expect everyone to have a deep level of faith at the beginning stages of the Krishna consciousness. And it takes time to develop. It takes maturity and quite a few years of practice. So, but still, like, even neophyte devotees, some of them are very joyful, and some of them are quite, you could say, not upset, but like not as joyful as others. So then I was trying to kind of, again, go through it, and here's something that came on my mind. I was listening to Kesha Maharaj the other day, and he explained there's 3 kinds of services that every devotee should have. One is something that's very joyful. Yeah, it's just something that makes you very happy. Something that you just have to do. Like just kind of, that's a byproduct of what you really enjoy. This is, number 2, byproduct. And something that challenges you all the time. Something that kind of pushes you out of your boundaries. Makes you kind of challenges you, makes you, you can say, a more stressful person sometimes, to say that. Challenge. Yeah. So again, I think a lot of us have a lot of this byproduct services that we just have to do, like cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning temple rooms, sometimes serving prasadam, and different things like that. Challenging services, I guess giving class is challenging for me at least. I don't know about you guys. Going out for books or any other service that kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone. That's always there. But something that actually makes you happy, kind of gives you this enjoyment in your spirituality, it's there, but not always to the same degree as you want it. Sometimes it needs to be something that you actually truly enjoy, something that comes from your heart. Like I know for myself, I actually enjoy the deity worship. That's something that I was brought up doing it, and it's something that truly kind of keeps next to my heart. Even if everything kind of breaks down in ISKCON, I still want to do it. It's something that it's just what makes me who I am, basically. So I believe everyone should have a service that they truly enjoy, truly kind of feel satisfied, even if you don't get any respect, don't get any kind of praise for it, but if you just simply kind of enjoy doing it, that's the service you want to find. Again, if you just want to break down this 3 for me, again, I think I would enjoy deity worship. The byproduct would be like cleaning the temple room sometimes, or like cleaning the gates. I don't enjoy doing it, but it needs to be done. And then challenging again, giving classes, or anything else. But actually, these 3 things can never be even to one service. For example, cooking. You can always, even if you like cooking, you have the other 2 aspects as well. You have the byproduct, which is washing the pots or cleaning the vegetables, and something that challenges you. You can always find new preparations, find new things to experiment, to kind of push you out of comfort zone. So even if you find a service, that kind of like book distribution, you always have services within these 3 phrases. But sometimes people don't actually find the service. They just come to Krishna consciousness, they come to the temple, and they just simply kind of clean the bathrooms for many years, or just they do it, and they don't enjoy doing it so much. And I feel they don't even look for what makes them happy sometimes. Because I guess I'm just the average person. I'm not a good singer. I'm not like a brahmana. I don't give classes. So they just kind of go with the flow. But I think that's not always the best thing to do. And I think one of the reasons actually people don't do it is because they think they're not talented. And so again, going to the point of talent. So there's 2 kind of talents. There's obvious talent, and there is, you can say, talent that's encapsulated. It takes a lot of hard work to actually bring out. For example, Mozart or Ronaldo, they were obvious talents from the beginning of their life. But for example, Ed Sheeran, he was a horrible singer, if you guys know, before he actually trained his voice. You can listen to some of his recordings back in the days, and he had a very crispy and very kind of actually bad voice. Same for Einstein. He actually was mentally disabled for many years. And then through hard work, through kind of determination, they were able to actually find the talents and bring it out to a degree that's even better than many other talented singers or any other talented people. So again, it's important to look for your talents that you can actually, again, engage in your service. About the talents, how to find talents. There's a famous author who wrote a book called The Hero's Journey. He has an interesting quote. "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you most seek." So sometimes there's a service that he actually might be very bad at. Like, for example, again, Ed Sheeran. He was a bad singer, but he liked doing it. He actually enjoyed doing it. If he would be fearful of doing it, if he wouldn't practice, then he would probably never get there. But because he actually went to that fearful cave of trying to go against the common norms, so like kind of, if you're not a good singer, you don't sing. He actually kept trying to push himself. Then he developed a good voice. It's about actually going to those places that you fear most, and then developing your talents. So again, I was thinking, to actually develop talent, you need three things. You need time, you need belief, and you need cash, or financial resources. When I was really thinking, us as devotees, should we actually invest all these into developing kind of our skills? Even Shri Shri Radhakananda ki, Shri Shri Ram Lakshmana Man ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. So yeah, I was thinking, is it actually important for us to develop those qualities, those resources, to actually spend the time and Lakshmi in trying to develop those skills? They're not obvious. What's your opinion? Anyone thinks? Anyone has opinions? Please.
If your intent is very clear,
Yeah?
and you just have to be honest with yourself, like you're going to ultimately use it for teaching, use it for service, then I think you should genuinely go for it.
But life is very short. And like, you never know when you're going to die. And if you're going to spend your time developing material skills.
But that's also the whole point, like it's short, it's also uncertain.
Exactly.
You lived long, you didn't invest it.
Yep.
And you look back 5 years and then you're okay, I could have. Just do it, right?
But what if you're going to die tomorrow? What if you're just going to you should invest all your energy into trying to develop, go to preaching? I think, is that more? Exactly, yeah. So I was thinking again, we can try to actually analyze this. Oh, thank you, it was a very good point. From a scientific point of view. In the Vedas, there's something called the 7 Tatparya Lingas. It's basically 7 systems of how to actually analyze or figure out the most important parts of any Veda, of any Shastra. Here, Upakrama, you check the beginning, because the beginning contains the most important parts. You have Upasamhara, the conclusion. Generally, the conclusion has the most important part of any scripture. There's something called Abhyasa. If something repeats very often, then naturally it's something that is probably very important. You have Apurvata, something unique about this Shastra. It means that only the Shastra is giving it. It means it's also very important. Phala, result. You check what result this kind of teaching gives you. Artavada, which basically means how well known it is, how many people actually know about the Shastra. And I guess final one is Samvada, how consistent is the Shastra. So then I was thinking about the Bhagavad Gita. How can I actually analyze the Bhagavad Gita? And I think I was trying to focus on this for this lecture on the Abhyasa part. What verse actually is repeated in the Bhagavad Gita almost exactly the same? Not exactly. Actually, look at this one. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Shreyan Sadhana Vigana. 3.35 and 18.47. They're almost the same words. Look at the first verse, first line of the verse. Shreyan Sadharma Viguna. The same line on top. It's basically the same words being rephrased. So how important is this verse actually for Krishna to mention it almost exactly the same way in the Bhagavad Gita? I think this is actually one of the most stressful verses to actually think about. Because if Krishna is saying it twice in the Bhagavad Gita, in exactly the same way, he's not even changing the words almost anymore. He's actually saying exactly the same thing twice. it probably means it's something very useful. So again, just to read the translation, it is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another occupation and perform it perfectly. Duty is prescribed according to one's nature and never affected by sinful reactions. So again, what actually Krishna means over here is that even if you're very good at doing something that's not your nature, you shouldn't do it. You can do it for some time, but it shouldn't be your main occupation. Like if someone's a Brahmana, like for example Dronacharya, he was a Brahmana. He could fight, but he shouldn't have fought in the Kurukshetra war because it wasn't his nature. And I was thinking, but why would you do it? Like why does it make sense? If you're very good at what you're doing, but maybe it's not your nature, but why can't you do it? It's better for society, it's better for everybody else. It's better if you do something that you're good at and let someone else do something else. Why would you go out of your way and do something that's not your like doesn't seem like your nature at the beginning? Any ideas? Please.
So Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, if you increase the content of heart from like Parshuram, he was a Brahmana, then he became a Kshatriya, right?
Yep. You can go up the ladder, yeah. Sometimes there are exceptions. Also, like you have Vishwamitra, but again, he didn't have a very good life. Anyway, so I came up with 3 things that I was thinking about. Why not? There's one is it compromises your integrity. Second, you're lacking enthusiasm. And 3, you're exercising a false ego. One is integrity. Even though you can do something perfectly, but if it's not your nature, you won't be able to do it to the same, like it's not sustainable. It's compromising your inner foundation. So you can do it for some time. You can persevere through it. Like I know for myself, I wouldn't be able to last book distribution for too long. Maybe it's something, maybe I can try doing it, but I don't think I would enjoy it to the same degree as daily worship. For that reason, it wouldn't be as sustainable for me as, for example, other services. Second point, enthusiasm. Actually, Rupa Goswami mentions in the 3rd verse of Vaidashamrita, how does it start again? Utsaha nishtya darya tat karma pravartanat sangatyagasto vritti shaddir bhakti prasiddhyati. There's 6 aspects that are very favorable for devotional service. And the first one, again, is enthusiasm. If you go back to our 7th Paralingas, the first thing is always very important. So enthusiasm. Why is enthusiasm so important? Because with enthusiasm, you can actually do much more. So if you're not in your field, you won't be able to be as enthusiastic as when you're in your own field. Is that clear? So again, that's one of the reasons actually some people, devotees, are happy and some are not. Even in the neophyte stage, you have some devotees that are in the nature. They can actually be enthusiastic about the service. That's why they can be happy. And if someone is doing something, but not in the nature, it may be, they can do it, but the level of enthusiasm won't be there. And that's why the level of progress may be a bit slower. That's the second reason why it's important to actually find your nature. And lastly, I guess you're kind of exercising a false ego because it's not who you are. It's basically kind of covering your identity. You're trying to live someone who you're not. That brings us to another point. It makes us think of Varnashrama Dharma. Like kind of, it does make us kind of think about, okay, if I should find my nature, am I a Brahmana? Am I a Kshatriya? Am I a Vaishya? Am I a Shudra? Well, actually, I heard something very interesting from my god brother, just from a lecture, that actually having a mixed Varna can be your superpower. If you look at Srila Prabhupada, he was born in a Vaishya family. Then he had Brahminical culture. But then he also had, you can say, like a pinch of Kshatriya nature. Like if you read Prabhupada's books, he always says, we're going to go on the war to Maya. We're going to go like fight against, all the materialists. Like book distribution is a war against Maya. So he was also quite some Kshatriya. Also, if you look in Prabhupada's early life, he was actually fighting against the British, and not just in a peaceful way like Gandhi, but he actually was there with what's his name? Subhash Chandra Bose. So also Kshatriya. Yeah. So actually it was interesting because many of disciples of Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, they came to US or even Britain, but they couldn't have the same amount impact as Srila Prabhupada. Even though they were pure brahmanas, even though they were very pure souls, they had Krishna consciousness, but their nature wasn't aligned to the world. We live in a very, probably Vaishya world. Everything's all about cash, cash, cash. If you don't have money, you're nobody. So, because Prabhupada had this perfect mixed nature, he was able to actually come and instill the Krishna consciousness into the Vaishya world. If his nature would be only Brahmanical, he wouldn't be able to do the same thing. If his nature was only Kshatriya, he wouldn't actually be able to do the same thing he actually did, perform the mission that he was meant to do. But because he had the perfect mix of all three varnas to the perfect degree, he was able to perform the miracle he actually did. So then for us, even if you're not a Brahmana, if you're not a Kshatriya, if you're not a Vaishya, find what's your mixed nature. I believe everybody comes here with a mission. Everyone comes here with a purpose that they're meant to fulfill. And just some people actually work on themselves and try to develop it, and some not as much. Actually, it's very important to actually work on yourself, because if you don't work on yourself, you won't live the life you're meant to be. Because Krishna actually gives you everything you need. Because Krishna is a father. He is, you can say, the creator of us. Why would he make you in a messed up way? Why would he make you of a mixed up varna that you have to walk around your whole life? Who am I? Am I a Brahmana? Am I a Kshatriya? Am I a Vaishya? Who am I? Well, maybe I'm a Shudra. Now, Shri Krishna made you in such a way. He empowered you with such qualities. They're perfect for your mission. They're perfect for what you're meant to do. And you can see again in Prabhupada, he was empowered with the right balance of skills to actually perform the mission. You also look at Keshav Maharaj. I guess he's also a mix of different varnas. He's a Brahmana, he's quite scholarly. He's, I guess, quite Kshatriya in the way he is able to administrate a massive congregation and a kind of a massive project he's doing. At the same time, he is some Vaishya nature because not just that, also that's one point, but also he is able to relate to those kind of people. If he didn't have a mix of those qualities, if he would be a pure Brahmana, he wouldn't be able to relate to the same degree as he is now. So again, it's so important to actually find your nature, find what's your personality, try to develop it, and use it for the service of Krishna. Again, going back to our 3 things of what you need to develop your nature. Time, financial resources, and belief. You can actually do it. So belief is quite simple. I guess you can develop it by association with those people who actually developed it. Then if you go for time, how many people actually spend at least 10 minutes of the time on social media? Pick up your hand. Yeah? At least 10 minutes of your time scrolling social media, please. Social media, at least 10 minutes. At least 10 minutes. Really? Anyway, okay. If you're not picking your hand up, you're probably not honest. So then, I'm not trying to tell you guys to quit social media. It's actually not easy to actually fully quit social media. It's an addiction, basically. There's actually one guy who basically took a picture of people on the phones and then cropped out the phones. So then it actually looks like people are staring at the hands. People are staring at the palms. And if you think about it, if there would be a drug that makes you stare at your palm for at least half an hour, it would be very detrimental to our society. And we would actually probably banned it a long time ago. But social media is exactly the same. It's basically a drug that makes you look at your palm or some other device. Again, I'm not trying to make you guys quit social media because probably it's not very realistic. At least for me, I know that I probably won't be able to give it up that easy. But then I would suggest something, at least try for a little bit. Here's the big idea. Use the feed to feed your mind. Your feed, your social media feed, is an AI tool. It's basically a reflection of your consciousness. If there's a way to actually kind of see what's your consciousness, check your social media feed. Because anything you're interested about, it's over there. So I think at first I was thinking, okay, just whatever comes, it comes. But then I actually opened one of the phones in so Madaji in our kitchen. His name is Chitanya Prima Madaji. And she asked me to put a lecture for her on YouTube. And then I kind of went on the search bar, typed in, actually before even going to search bar, I kind of scrolled a little bit to kind of see what's her interest. And then I only saw Srila Prabhupada's lectures, nothing else. You just scroll down, it was only Prabhupada's lectures, nothing else. At that moment I realized you can actually engineer your feed. You can actually tailor it to what you want. And actually, if you think about it, your social media can be even more useful than any other university. Because anything you think about is there now. Any field of knowledge is there. You just need to type a few numbers, type a few letters, and you get all the information you want. So it's about actually utilizing your time properly. Even though you're on social media, don't, waste it on just scrolling through funny cat videos or something like that. Try to actually engineer your feed. Make a new account and write what you want. Write. If you want to learn about technology, about AI, right? AI development. Click on it. Open a video. Put a thumbs up. Go into comments. Say, I like this stuff. And that's it. Your social media feed will actually be tailored to that. If you want to listen to Kishore Maharaj, find him on the social media platform, subscribe, and again, put thumbs up, make a comment. As soon as you make a comment, the AI algorithm knows that you like this stuff, and and it'll feed it to you. So again, don't quit social media for now. It's not easy, but use the feed to feed your mind. Yeah, is that clear? And the second part, we have the financial resources. Finance is hard to talk about because we have something called karma, no? And you think that if this is how much I'm allocated, that's how much I'm going to have, that's it. But again, I heard a very interesting lecture by Bhaktivedanta Sagar Maharaj. And he actually mentions a very interesting model. He explains that we as devotees have two understandings of how we do donations. We have the simple model where we give 90%, we keep 90% for myself, for me, and we give 10% of our income to Krishna. That's one way to do it. Another way that Rupa Goswami explains, he explains that we have our income, and then we divide it 50% we give to Krishna, and 25 goes for savings, and 25 goes for entertainment. Obviously here, Rupa Goswami explains it's not about income. It's about basically your leftover finances that you have. It's not what you actually earned, it's how much you have left over after paying all the bills. But then it's actually hard to give 50% of anything above that. Well, if you think about it, what actually makes it hard to give 50%? I know some people actually give 80% of the income. 80%. And it's not always about the percentage, it's probably about the amount. If you earn million, it's easier to actually give 80% because you have enough for yourself. So that's why this Maharaj actually explains this interesting model. It's called the model of Artha. You basically make a deal with Krishna, explaining that I need this much finance for myself, for my family, for the year. It may be 50K, it can be 60K, it can be any amount you need. You make this deal in front of the altar. Say, I need this much for my family. Anything above that, 50% I'll give to you, 25% I'll put in savings, and 25 we'll use for entertainment. Actually works. Actually, I think most of you know Anil Agrawal. He actually used this model. Before he became a rich guy, he came here, he was working, I think, in some very low job. He came to Soho, and he actually made this deal with Krishna, Londonishvara. Said, anything above this, I'll give you 50%. Not just him, there are actually many other businessmen who do the same thing. They make a clear understanding how much they actually need for the family. It can be 50K, it can actually be even 100K. Everyone has their own limits. Everyone has their own needs. But you make that decision. And then anything above that, you give to Krishna. And then the other percentage, you use for entertainment and for investing into your skills. And actually it works. A lot of businessmen, it works for them. It's a model that works. Actually, I know at least 5 people that did the same thing, and it worked. But there's a catch. If you don't keep the promise, your whole business goes to hell. There was one businessman who tried this whole thing. He actually kind of made a deal. He started earning like big amounts. And then as soon as he actually went beyond kind of his threshold, he stopped giving 50%. He goes, I gave her so many million, like I think it's enough. Krishna has enough. And then like just a few days later, his whole business was about to crash. And it came to the point that he had no choice. Either he gives 50% or he just goes bankrupt. It was that simple. So he just came to the temple, he gave a lot of the amounts, and then he left. And then he thought maybe it was a coincidence. Let me try again. And the same thing happened again. He actually tried 3 times. And whenever he just wouldn't give, his business was about to crash. Bang. So he realized, either I give or I'm broke. So again, use this model. It's actually a proven model that sannyasis teach. Use it, and kind of figure out what's your bare minimum, what you actually need. If you're still if you're not married yet, kind of figure out how much you need before you get married, and so on. And yeah, then anything above that, 50% you give to Krishna, and the rest you use to invest in your skills, invest in mentors, and so on. To actually find your nature and develop who you are. Is that clear? All good? Okay, just to wrap up, we only have a few minutes. Key takeaways. 1, find a guru. Your relationship with your spiritual master is the most important relationship you have in the whole world. It's even more important than your kids, your partner, because your spiritual master is the one who is going to decide, who is actually going to kind of help you out in your final destination. Round 2, find what you're passionate about. Find what's your purpose, what are you super enthusiastic about, and use that for Krishna service. And then last and most practical thing, use the feed to feed your mind. Use the social media feed to teach you about things you can actually use in Krishna consciousness, like making cakes or different things. Depends what you actually like doing. Learn about it and use it for service. Any questions, comments, please?
One question I have, you said at the start, with the Gita,
Yep.
remember those talks, like whatever is mentioned in the Gita.
Yep.
So I was just wondering, sometimes as part of a Bhakti Shastra, we have verse recitation.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we tend to forget the verses?
Forget the verses.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like from memory? What aspect?
Because you said you remember the talks, right?
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Verses are spoken.
Actually, it's quite interesting because when you learn verses, there's the kind of memory. You have the short-term memory and the long-term memory. So if you actually read the verse, it goes into your short-term memory. But if you actually kind of learn the verse by looking at it, you forget the verse. Like in Gurukul, when we're learning shlokas, we were not allowed to actually look at the books. We only learn by hearing. Like we just kind of sit down and we have a teacher who repeats the verses and we listen. Because when you listen, it takes longer to learn, but it goes into your deeper memory. So like we learned like Isha Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Chaitanya Upanishad, all the suktas, like the whole Brahma Samhita. And I still remember most of it because the technique was by hearing. And you can say Shri Krishna says over here, hears the talks. You kind of, yeah. Anyone who becomes conversant with the topics, yeah. Conversant. Conversation means he hears. If you hear it, then it stays longer. Of course, it's not like perfect, but it's